Another question I get asked all the time, do you know if there's a website or overview of all the disabilities with tips on how you can design for each disability? Most developers know about things like visual impairments, but not necessarily all the other disabilities that someone could experience. Now, let's just start from what a disability is. A disability occurs when an individual with impairments interacts with an environment and an activity that they want to engage in. The disability emerges whenever there's a barrier to that system. Now, it's really important for us to understand that disability is not just a static idea. It's not just a single thing that we can put our finger on and be like, that's disability and that will always be disability. Disabilities change over time. Our way of thinking about disability evolves. Disability is a social concept. So what we have to understand, first of all, is disability isn't about the human being. It's about the interaction between a human being, a task or an activity or a goal they want to achieve, and the environment that they want to achieve in. Disabilities can emerge in the interaction between them because of a barrier that emerges. Now let's just start as an example. Generally speaking, I don't experience barriers interacting with my phone. But if this room was on fire and full of smoke, you can better believe that I would have a really hard problem interacting with my phone because my eyes would be watering, I wouldn't be able to breathe, I wouldn't be able to see very well, and interacting with my phone would be a really big challenge. So there's what's called a situational disability, where prior to the room being on fire, I wouldn't have a disability, but then while the room is on fire, I have what's called a situational disability. Another example of a situational disability is jet lag. So when I travel home to the United States, I travel over several time zones, and it really affects my sleeping, and that affects my cognitive performance. So it's a situational disability in the sense that my ability to think clearly, make decisions, is impaired. So again, we're talking about interaction between me, an individual, this environment that I'm in, and the activity, whatever it is that I want to do. And the barriers that emerge, that's what creates disability. Now, that's to start off with. The second issue here is it evolves over time. That's what I just mentioned. And that there's a huge spectrum when it comes to disability. There are not easy, nice categories that we can create and fit in and say, okay, these people belong to this group and this group and this group, and here's how we can design for them. It's just not possible. There's an infinite number of variations that we as human beings come in. And when it comes to issues related to disability, it's just not possible to sit and say, well, this solution will always work for this kind of disability, this solution will always work for this kind of disability. And then the other issue that doesn't take into account is that technology evolves over time as well, and that means that we have another infinite continuum of possibilities. So, short answer is no, there's no way, there's no place that you can go to find tips on specific disabilities related to specific interfaces. There are some standards that deal with some disabilities, but not all disabilities. And it's important for us to understand that and realize that whenever we're designing our technologies, whenever we're designing our solutions, that there are no kind of hard and fast rules here. There are some suggestions and guidelines that can be really useful and helpful, but they are not definitive. And they are just a starting place for universal design.